In this Brevo tutorial, we are going to talk about all of the features that Brevo has to offer, so that by the end of this video, you will actually know how to run your business using Brevo. Now, we are going to cover all of the good stuff like SMS marketing, email marketing, CRM, and so on. Now, I will leave you all of the timestamps down below. However, as always, I would actually recommend you to watch all the way till the end, so that you will actually know everything about Brevo. But either way, to get started, you will have to head over to the Brevo website. Now, I will leave you my personal affiliate link down below, so that if you want to support me for completely free, you can do so. But either way, just click on sign up free on the top right, and then Brevo is basically going to walk you through the onboarding process. You can either create an account by putting in your email and password. However, just to make things easier, I'm actually going to sign up using Google, and I'm going to use my dummy account as for this video. As you can see, now this is going to give me a roadmap of everything which we can do using Brevo. However, we are going to actually get started from scratch, so just click on Don't Show Get Started with Marketing right here. And as you can see, this is how the Brevo dashboard is going to look like once you first launched up your Brevo dashboard essentially. You can find all of your account settings on the top right. However, to get started, we are actually going to navigate to contacts on the left. Right here, you are going to see an overview of all of your contacts. Now, obviously, as of now, we haven't actually added any contacts, and we only got our default contact, which is going to be ourselves. Now, to change that, you will just have to click on either create a contact or on import contacts right here. Now, if you've already used other email marketing providers like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign in the past, then you can just head over to import contacts right here, and then you can upload all of your contacts as a CSV file, as an Excel file, or as a text file. So I will quickly just do that. I actually made a test file to walk you through the process of importing all of your contacts, which is going to look something like this. So as you can see, I've now added my test file, and as we are going to have two contacts in this test file. The first one is going to be Bruce Wayne, and the second one is going to be Lee Towner. Now, we can actually see the preview of our file, and if everything is correctly imported, we can just click on confirm your file right here, and now we will have to basically map the data. Now, by mapping your data, you will just have to connect all of the data to the correct contact attribute. So for example, the data right here would be the email address, so we will have to select email right here. Now, usually Brevo does a pretty good job with this by default and does everything automatically. However, still make sure to look through this to make sure everything is correct. And then as for the SMS right here, this is actually incorrect. Now, I'm actually located in Austria, so by default Brevo actually thinks that this is an Austrian number basically. However, this is actually from the United States, so I will just select United States right here, and now everything is mapped accordingly, and we can then confirm this mapping, and we can then import our contacts. Now, basically, storing our contacts on Brevo works in two different ways. First of all, we do have our lists. Now, a list is basically just a way to store all of your data. And then we also are going to have segments. Now, basically, a segment is a subset of a contact database or list created based on set conditions, like for example, the country and so on. However, as of now, I will just create a new list, and then we are going to name this list contacts. We can then also create folders. Now, this is just for organizing purposes, so I will just leave this at the default as of now. I will just click on create list, and now we are going to have our contacts list right here, and we can then import all of our imported contacts into the contacts list. Okay, just click on confirm your list, and then you will actually have to finalize your import by agreeing to all of these things right here. Then just confirm your input, and now we have our contacts added. So as you can see, if we are now going to go to lists on the left, we do have our two lists. On your first list is just going to be myself essentially, and then on the contacts list we are going to have our two contacts which we've just added. So to now actually delete your first list, because we don't actually need this, just click on the three dots and click on delete list. Now this is deleted, and if we're now going to refresh our site, this isn't going to show up. Now, these kind of lists is basically a collection of individual contact records, each of which typically includes information such as person's email address, person's name, and so on, which is going to come in handy later on. But as for now, we can actually also create a segment. So if we would now want to create a new segment, we could either just use any of these segment suggestions right here. So for example, we can add a segment for most engaged email subscribers, which is basically just going to track that all of these contacts that are inside this segment clicked a promotional message in the last 30 days. Then they also have this default segment called inactive email subscribers. So basically all of these contacts inside this segment are going to be people that don't interact to your emails. Then we also do have a segment with all email subscribers, as well as a segment with contacts from a country code. Now, this contacts from country code feature is actually super useful if you're going to target an international market where different kind of countries are going to be in your list. However, as for this video, I will just click on new blank segment right here, and now we can actually create a new blank segment. Now, to do that, just add a filter, and we can then either add a filter depending on the contact details, email or SMS. For example, I will just select email, and then we are actually going to create a segment where all of these people inside our segment actually already clicked and link in an email. So basically, all of the people inside the segment, obviously as of now there are none, are people that already engaged with our emails and already clicked on links in our emails. And by the way, we are going to go over the process of setting up email campaigns later on, no worries. However, I just wanted to get this segment thing out of the way. So I will just save the segment, and then we can name the segment as engaged by clicking on a link. And we can then set the category, so we can set this into the engagement category if we would want to. And now we can just create this segment, and this is actually super useful to later on target all of your contacts, because obviously if you're going to have hundreds of contacts, it is quite hard to actually keep up with all of them, and this is just for organizing purposes. Now, right here on the forms, you can actually create a subscription form where people can automatically subscribe to your email, and this is actually super useful. So just click on create a subscription form right here and set a form name. Now, as for this video, I will just name this test form, and then we will actually have to enable the GDPR fields. Now, this is basically just so that your contact form is going to be applicable to all of the laws in the European legislation region. So this is actually by default, this has to be ticked by default if you're going to basically have contacts inside of the EU. So if you plan to target people inside the EU, make sure that this field is ticked on. And either way, just tick it on, and it doesn't really matter. Just click on next, and then we can actually start designing our form. Now, basically the signing process is going to be super straightforward and super simple. As you can see, by default, we are going to have our form on the right, and we can change the view of the form to either mobile or desktop if we would want to. We will then have an overview of all of the elements inside the form on the left, and we can then change the form design, like the text right here. We can then change the font as well. So for example, we can change this to Garamond if we would want to, and we can then even go over all of the things. For example, we can add a new text right here, or we can also add new attributes. So as you can see, as of now, this form only includes the email address. So if someone is going to register with this form, you are going to only receive the email address. However, generally, you want to try to get as much information as possible. So for example, if you would want to know the name of a person that is going to subscribe to your email list, you could do that, and you could achieve that by adding an attribute field right here. So to do that, just drag this onto your form build, and then you can basically set the attribute list. So I will just select first name, and then we can set the field size. Now as for this, I won't actually select multi-lanes. I will just select a single line right here, and then we will basically have an input for the first name. Now we can make this so that it isn't actually required to sign up. However, generally I would recommend you to actually get the first name of all of your contacts, as this also later on can be very useful to actually customize your emails and so on. We can then add a new attribute with the last name. Now, as you can see, as of now, we only have first name, last name, and email address, and we could then also add an SMS field onto this. However, we can't actually add more things onto our contacts, which really is a downside. There are a lot of more things to your contacts than name, SMS, and email. So to actually get more information of your contacts, head over to contacts right here, and then head over to settings. Then under contact attributes, you can basically set all of the different things that you want to know about your contacts. So if you, for example, would want to add a new attribute called country, we could then first of all add the name right here, and then we can set the attribute type. So basically for this is just going to be a text attribute. However, for example, this could also be a number, category, and so on. So actually it basically for country, it would actually make sense to go through the process of adding all of the countries that you are going to support, as this is going to be easier to then do for the potential lead. So let's, for example, say that as for this video, we are only going to operate in the United States and in the United Kingdom. And once we've added our country attribute right here, we could then go over the process to adding this onto our form right here if we would want to. But one other thing which is actually super important is adding a captcha right here. Now this is super useful to prevent bots from signing up to your newsletter. You can either use the Google captcha or also the Cloudflare captcha, depending on your preferences basically. But once you're ready, just click on next. Now, as I don't want to go through the hassle of actually setting this up, as you would actually have to go over to Cloudflare and create an account essentially, I will just quickly delete this captcha thing right here. And now we can actually click on next to continue going through the process. So as you can see, now we will basically have to select the list that all of our contacts that are actually going to sign up using this form are going to be added to. Now for me, I'm just going to select contacts right here. However, you could now obviously also create a new list called contacts added by a form 1, for example. Now obviously you can just play around with this. As for this video, I'm just trying to give you guys a basic understanding on how everything is going to work. And by the way, if you find this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions along the way, you can ask them in the comments down below, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. But once you've selected your list, you can click on next right here. Now right here under settings, you will basically have to set your confirmation type. Now, basically there are 3 different ways to actually build up your email list using the form. So basically once a person has put in all of their information, if selected no confirmation email right here, they're just going to be added onto your list right away. However, I would actually recommend you to either just use simple confirmation email or double confirmation email. Now, under simple confirmation email, basically there is going to be a confirmation email sent once this form has been submitted, which is just going to say something like thank you for subscribing and so on. You can also just use any of these templates right here, or you can also customize this if you want to. Now, this is basically the regular way that you are most likely used to. However, there is actually also the double confirmation email option right here. Now basically with this you aren't going to get as much contacts as this simple confirmation email right here, because as for the double confirmation email, you basically there is going to be a new email sent containing a double opt-in link that the person basically has to click on to be actually submitted to actually submit this form, and so that you will actually get their information. Now this has the disadvantage that you won't get as much people as for these other options, because not a lot of people are going to go through the hassle of clicking the link. However, basically the people that are going to click on the link are going to be much more invested in your offer than the people for the simple confirmation email or no confirmation email option. So this is just something which you will have to keep in mind, and depending on your choice, you can then either just select these things right here if you would want to. However, to make things easier, I will just click simple confirmation email, and then I'm going to click on next. Now, as for the messages, right here, you can then just say, add the success message. So for example, you can just say, thank you for joining our team. Okay, and then as for the invalid user information, you can also set this error message as well as empty field. Then click on next, and now you can basically go and share your form. And you can then either share your form by just using this link right here, which is going to redirect the person to this web page, or by also implementing it in your website using HTML or using simple HTML and so on. Now you can basically do this depending on your personal preferences. However, I'm just going to click on done as for now, and now we got our test form added. We can then actually also create an unsubscription form if we would want to, where we will then have to once again add a name. And then we can once again just design this, and we can, for example, say, do you really want to unsubscribe? We have this special offer for you, and so on. And we can basically go through the process of setting this up. However, I think as of now, you actually already got the gist of it on how these firms are going to work. Now, as for the settings right here, once again, we can basically customize the contact attributes, and we can actually also go to the settings to basically create webhooks, so that basically when a person is going to click on a different kind of link, they're going to basically be this is going to be registered on the webhooks, and basically you can then track everything if you want to. Now this is super advanced basically, but if you want to know more about that, let me know in the comments. Now as for unengaged contacts right here, basically right here you can try to improve your unengaged contacts. So basically you can improve your engagement rate by going over these settings right here if you want to. However, I will just leave this at the default because basically it doesn't really matter if you're going to change this too much. And then let's now go to the campaign settings. Now there are different kind of campaign options that Brevo is going to offer. So for example, Brevo is basically mostly known for their email marketing option, as basically beforehand they also were known as Sendinblue. However, they also do offer things like SMS marketing, WhatsApp, web push, templates, statistics, and so on, which we're all going to cover right now. However, to get started, let's just head over to email right here, and let's create our first email campaign. Just click on the top right, and then you will have to set a campaign name. Now you can either just go for a regular email campaign, which is going to contain one email, or you can also go for an A/B split test campaign, where you're basically going to build up two emails, and then Brevo is going to analyze everything, and depending on the open rate and so on, you can then see which email is going to be the better one. However, for simplicity's sake, I will just go with this regular email campaign right here, and as for the campaign name, I will just name this video editing offer, and then I'm just going to create this campaign. And now first of all, we will have to edit the from name right here. So just click right here on from, and then basically you will have to add your email address. Now as of right now, we only have our default email address added, which we've used to sign up. However, to actually add a more professional email with your own custom domain, which I would actually recommend you to do if you're going to have a Gmail domain and if you're going to send out emails using that. As you can see right here, they do have a warning for this as well. This isn't going to look very professional, and also basically isn't good as for the deliverability. So to actually add an email address on your own, just click on add new sender right here. And now you can first of all add a name. So I will just add Elias, and then you can also add an email address to this. And once you've clicked on save right here, you will have to put in the verification code that basically Brevo is going to send you. So I'm quickly going to do that. Alright, perfect, and now we do have our own custom email address added as well as a name. We can also go for advanced option right here. So basically we can right here then customize the reply to email address or as well as the send to field. However, I will just leave this at the default as of now. And then we can actually add a new recipient right here. I don't know why this pop-up comes up. I think they actually haven't updated it. So just click on add recipient right here, and then you will have to put in the list or the segment you want to send this email to. So I will just actually select my contact list. So I'm going to send this email to all of my contacts. which is going to be 2 recipients. And then you can basically also tick this if you want to don't send this to unengaged contacts if you want to. Just click on save and now continue with adding a subject. Now there are basically 2 ways of adding a subject. First of all, you do have your subject line, and then you will also have a preview text. So as for the subject line, I will just put in, let me introduce you to our new offer. And if we would want to, we could actually also add some personalization to this. So for example, let's say that we actually want to directly speak to the person that is going to receive this email. To do that, I will just put in hey, and right here we would obviously then want to insert the name. To do that, click right here, and then choose the attribute first name, and then we are just going to insert this, and now this is going to say, hey, Bruce, hey, John, hey, let me introduce you to our new offer. And then as for the preview text right here, this is basically just going to be this text, which is going to be under the subject line right here. Now this should be something which should lead the person that is going to receive this email to click on the email. So in my case, I'm just going to put in video editing is the most important step when creating content, but have you heard about our new and then basically this will lead to more people clicking onto our email and so on. Once you're ready with this, click on save, and then we can get to the fun part basically, and we can get to designing our email. So just click on start designing, and then you can either get started with any of these 6 layouts, or you can also just use any of their basically countless great templates which you can use. Right here you can also basically set up templates on your own, and you can then use these templates, and you can also use the rich text editor as well as the HTML editor to manually create your emails. Now as for the rich text editor, right, this is just going to be plain text only, and the HTML editor is basically going to allow you to create your emails using HTML. Now as for this video, I will just use I think this template right here. And then as you can see right here, we can basically edit our styles, which we're going to get into in just a minute. So this once again is pretty similar to the form builder, which we've already covered. Right here we do have all of our different elements, and once we're going to select them, we are going to have our settings on the left. Now one thing which we can do before actually customizing our email campaign is setting up a brand on the top right. So just click on set up brand right here, and then basically you can either just put in your website right here to automatically let Brevo detect all of your brand, all of your colors and so on, and your logo. However, in my case, as I don't have a website for my video editing agency, which I'm just setting up as a text as of now, I will just click up set up brand manually, and now we will have to first of all upload a logo. So I will quickly just upload my white logo for this, and then I'm going to select this and insert it. Okay, I think actually the black one would work better, so I'm going to upload my black logo, and then we are going to insert this right here. Okay, then we can actually also add some colors to this. Now I will actually leave this at the default, or let's actually say that my brand color is going to be something purplish. I think something like this. I think something like this actually looks pretty good. And now by default, all of the text and all of the button basically are going to be customized to my brand colors. We can then also set up secondary colors and so on. As for the fonts, we can also set up the default fonts. So let's quickly change this to, I guess, Tahoma. Yeah, I think Tahoma actually does look better. And I'm also going to change the paragraph font to the Homer as well. We can then also add all of our social media accounts onto this, so that it is basically going to show up at the footer of all of our emails essentially. So I'm just going to save and apply this brand, and now this is automatically going to be applied on our email right here. And as you can see, we would have to basically add some social media links to finish our brand setup. However, I will not actually do that. And we can then actually also set up the desktop background color and so on. However, we'll just reset this to the default. Then we can also change things like background image, body color, as well as the overall text appearance in terms of color of these texts. So for example, I will actually change the color of the text to black, to plain black, because I think that actually looks way better. I don't really like this kind of grayish text, which is by default. So I'm going to change all of the text designs to the normal black. Alright, perfect. Now that we've successfully customized our text, we can also change the button styling right here. So for example, I'm going to make the borders, I guess I will just leave the borders, but I will just make this a little bit more round. So I will change the button radius to, I guess, like 24 or 25, I guess. And then we can actually also change the spacing of each of the elements by adding some padding and so on. But for now, I will just leave these settings. And now we can actually continue customizing our email right here. So we can then replace these images. We can either just use any of these stock images or GIF images, or we can also upload our own custom images. Now in my case, I'm just going to use, I guess, this stock image right here. However, as you can see, the sizing of this isn't actually good. So to actually realign everything, you can click on edit right here, and then you can transform this, and you can then realign this depending on your liking. So I'm just going to make it so that only this palace or whatever this thing is going to be in the image, and now this is going to be realigned. And now you can basically change the text right here. You can say something like video editing is the key when it comes to I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but basically you can add all sorts of different elements from the left. For example, you can also add things like payment links, which they've actually currently are working on. So once again, make sure to subscribe to not miss out on the tutorial for this feature. And then you can actually also add things like videos or like other images, like other different kind of styles and so on. You can then also manually customize the button right here, and I think by now you'll actually get the hang of it. So I'm just going to click on save and quit right here. And now we're done with designing our email. We can then also edit all of the advanced settings right here. As for newsletter settings, we can either choose any of these. We can go over subscription settings, design settings, and so on. But basically this is going to be dependent on what kind of email you want to send out. So I will actually just leave this at the default. And we could then either just preview and test this email right here. So if you would want to, you could send a test email, in my case to my own email, and then you could see a preview of how everything is going to look like, and you're going to get another preview right here. You can also change the view and so on. Now, basically, I'm just going to click on schedule right now, and right here we can then schedule our email. We can either send it now, or we can also schedule it for later, or you can send it at the best time. Now, basically, this is going to be an AI-powered feature where Brevo is going to detect on where the open rate is going to be the best, and then they're going to send it at that exact time, which I actually really like. Now, I do have a paid account for my other email marketing accounts, but as this is a dummy account, I can't actually show you this feature. So I will just click on schedule for later, and I'm going to say okay on the next Friday, or the next Friday right here, and this should be actually sent out. So I'm just going to click on schedule, and now our email is automatically going to be sent on Friday. Alright, perfect. We could now then also set up SMS campaigns, which is super powerful. So basically nowadays everyone is always on their phone, so these SMS campaigns are super powerful, and you can actually create your SMS campaigns only within a few clicks. Just click on create my first campaign right here. And then Brevo is going to walk you through the process. First of all, you will have to put in a campaign name. So I will just put in test campaign. And then you can put in an SMS sender. Now, this SMS sender isn't going to be visible for most of the countries out there. And as you can see, for example, recipients in some countries, including the US, cannot see this customization option. So instead, they're going to see a numerical shortcode. However, still just put in any kind of sender that you want to. In my case, I will just put in Elias Krause, and then we can also tick manage compliance for the United States. So if you are planning to send SMS campaigns in the United States and basically to recipients of the United States, then you will have to go through this process right here. You will have to put in an organization prefix. So in my case, I'm just going to put in Krause. And then you will also have to put in some unsubscribe instructions. So basically, you will just have to guide the person on how they can actually stop these SMS campaigns to happen. So in my case, I'm just going to put in type stop to unsubscribe from our SMS newsletter, because as you can see right here, your message must include stop keyword. So basically stop is going to be the message that they will have to type to actually unsubscribe from the SMS newsletter. Right here you can then put in your message. You can also use Unicode, which is supported by more languages essentially. However, as this is just a test video, I'm not actually going to send out an SMS message, but basically you will just have to go through the recipients right here, and then you will have to go through the confirmation to actually send out your message. Now, basically the same goes for WhatsApp. I think actually, depending on where you're going to market to, WhatsApp is even more powerful than SMS, because obviously, mostly in the EU, WhatsApp is actually being used instead of SMS. So basically, WhatsApp can also be used to market. And I think I've read somewhere online that WhatsApp basically has an average open rate of 90% or so. So this is super powerful. And to actually create your campaign, you will have to first of all name your campaign. So I will just type in test. And then you will have to edit the from number. So basically this has to be a WhatsApp business account that you will have to connect. Now setting up your WhatsApp business account is free and super easy. Just go to this link right here, and then they're going to walk you through the whole process. As you can see, Brevo actually has a full video guide on how to do that. It is only going to take you a couple of seconds generally. And then you will basically have to set the to list. So basically you will have to add your contacts. Once again, it is basically going to be the same procedure as for SMS campaigns as well. And if you would want to, you could also set up an engagement and segment basically to actually send out your WhatsApp campaign. But I will actually once again just set my test campaign select my test contacts right here, and then we could actually get started to the message content part. So to do that, just click on start creating, and now basically you will have to click on start creating on the right once again, and then you will have to create a template. We are going to name this template test template 1. And then as for the template type, there are two different types. First of all, we have marketing, and you will have to choose marketing for promotional communication. And basically the second one, utility, is going to be for informational messages. So I will just select marketing, and then we are going to set the template language to English. Now, as for the rest, we're going to leave this at the default, and then I'm going to click on start. Right now, we do have a preview on the right on how it is going to look like. We can also add the header right here. So for example, we could now say, hey, and we could then once again add some personalization to this. So I'm once again going to just input the first name right here. And then as for the value, if empty, I'm just going to say 3 dots. But basically this isn't going to be the case, because we are always going to get the first name for our contacts, and which we've already set up beforehand with the form section. So basically just put in a first name right here, and now this is going to say hey first name, and then we're going to I'm going to make a comma. And now as for the body, we could then add our message. So we could say something like, have you heard about our new offer, where we are going to give you 10% off with the code okay. Now obviously this just would be an example. You could now then once again add personalization. You can also add a certain kind of text styles, and you can basically also add emojis. As you can see right here, you are going to see a preview of all of the emojis. So I'm just going to say okay, I'm going to add this emoji right here. Basically this by default is going to be the Windows emoji on the preview tab, but once you've actually sent it out on WhatsApp, it is going to be the normal iOS emoji that you're probably used to with WhatsApp. And then we can also add buttons. So basically we could add a quick reply button with saying stop promotions, or we could also add a new button called custom, which is going to say buy now, and so on. We can also add call to actions to this, which I actually really like. So normally I'm going to add a call to action with the link of this exact offer right here, so that if a person is actually going to receive this this message right here, they can then instantly click on the link, which is going to redirect them to the offer. But for now, I'm just going to click on this card. I think by now you actually got the hang of it and you got the gist of it on how to actually create WhatsApp as well as SMS campaigns. As for web push right here, basically you can activate web push to reach more people with the notifications. So basically this is useful to send out notifications. I'm sorry, I actually got redirected. This is useful to send notification to your customers on desktop as well as on mobile. Now as for the templates right here you will basically see all of the templates for your emails. So if we're going to look at this template, we can see that, okay, this is how it is going to look like. We could then edit the content and so on. Now I'm not actually going to do that. I'm just going to leave this at the default. As for the WhatsApp templates, we can then right here also see all of our WhatsApp templates. We already have set up this test template, but we could now add a new template. Wow, that's a lot of templates in one sentence. But as for statistics right here, you can then see an overview of all of your different open rates, of all of your clicks, of all of your unsubscribes, total replies, and so on. So in general, this is just going to be an overview for all of your campaigns. So this is super useful in my opinion, as you can just see the statistics on one tab. Under settings, you can change all sorts of different things, like, for example, the default settings, the global calculated values, the sender and domains. You can get a dedicated IP, or you can also use Google Analytics. You can set up conversions, and you can also manage your business accounts right here. So this is just going to be an overview of all of the more in-depth settings as for the campaign section. Let's now get to our automations, and this is actually super useful. So basically, Brevo is going to allow you to create kind of workflows, also called automations, where you can basically streamline and automate all of your processes. So to do that, just click on create an automation on the top right, and then you can either use any of these pre-built automations by Brevo, or you can also just create your own custom automation, which we're going to do in this video. As for the name of our automation, I'm going to name this test automation. I know I'm very creative, I'm sorry guys. And then we can also add a description if you want to. So basically, we can also allow our contacts to enter this automation more than once. Now, I think this does make sense in some cases, but generally, I will just leave this unticked basically, because, for example, if this is going to be an onboarding process, it doesn't really make sense that a customer could actually do this twice. So I will just leave this as it is, and then I'm going to click on Create Automation. Now, this is how the automation dashboard is going to look like. To actually get started, we will have to add a trigger onto our automation. So a trigger is basically also called entry point right here. So just click right here, and then you will have to set the entry point. Now, for example, let's say that our entry point is going to be when a contact submits a form, and we're going to select our test form, which we've created earlier on. We could then also add a new entry point and so on, and we could add multiple entry points, but I don't want to bore you with that stuff. So I will actually just click on plus right here, and then we can add all sorts of different steps to our workflow. So what I will actually do, I will now add a condition, and I'm going to add a delay onto this. I'm going to say that, okay, to actually launch this automation, we're going to add a delay of, let's say, 5 days. And then we're going to say, okay. And then after these 5 days, we're then going to send out an email. And we could then actually, first of all, we could just create a new email template right here, or we could use any of our default templates. So for example, I will just click on create new email template. And then we could go over the process, which we've already did beforehand under the campaigns, and we can then set up our email and so on. Now, I don't want to bore you with that stuff. You already know how to do that. But basically, you can then create the email that you want to send out. So I'm just going to say, okay, I'm going to select this email template right here. And then you can also basically tick these boxes if you want to. And then after this action right here, we can then add a second delay that is going to say, okay, if, and now we can say that, okay, if email marketing activity, now we can now say that, okay, if the email marketing activity is that the person that has received the email that we've sent beforehand actually opened the email, we're going to continue this workflow. So in my case, I'm going to select open right here, and then I'm going to basically just leave this as it is. And then basically as for yes, we're going to continue the workflow by sending out a second email and so on. And if no, we're actually going to send out a WhatsApp message, which we would then have to set up right here. And this WhatsApp message, for example, would then say, hey, have you heard about my offer? I know you haven't opened my email, but make sure to check this out. You're also going to get a special discount code using this link right here. So make sure to check it out. As always, if you want to unsubscribe, just put in stop and so on. So overall, super useful stuff. With these automations, you can basically just automate your whole customer onboarding process as well as most of your marketing solutions. Now we'll just click on activate automation, and then I'm going to go back, and now we are going to see that we also do have a log section right here where we are going to see all of our logs, so basically all of the things that happened. And then as for the email templates, this is basically the place where we can set up new email templates which we can then use in our workflows. And as for the WhatsApp templates, this is going to be the same essentially. Now as for the other automation, now as for the settings on the automation, right here you can basically also set up tracking codes if you want to. You would have to set this up on your website to identify and track your contacts. So this is really advanced stuff which I'm not actually going to set up right now. As for transactional, now this is basically just if you have an e-commerce store, for example, and if you want to send out transactional emails using Brevo, then you can also automate that. You will actually have to set up your SMTP as well as your Brevo SMTP and so on. So just click on find out more right here, and then Brevo is going to guide you through the process of how to actually set up your simple mail transfer protocol and so on. Now this is just due to privacy reasons and to data reasons. So you will have to basically set this whole thing up, and then you can set up and then you can send out transactional emails, and you will even get the option to send out transactional SMS messages right here, which I think actually is super good, and basically not a lot of other email marketing providers do offer this feature. As for conversations right here, this is basically just going to be a tab where you are going to see all of the different things, all of the different ways essentially how customers can communicate with you. As you can see, as for this welcome bot, this is just going to be a preview, and as you can see by default, customers will be able to contact you with the chat widget, with email, Facebook, Instagram, as well as WhatsApp. Now, the chat widget is actually a feature which they've recently enrolled. So basically right here, you can just set up your own custom chat widget, which customers can then use to actually communicate with you. You can, first of all, change the color of this. So I'm just going to select purple, as I think we've set the brand color to purple beforehand. We can then change the button style to tab, for example, and so on. So as you can see, this is how it is going to look right now. And then you would just have to install the chat widget plugin onto your website so that people can actually communicate with you. The same goes for email. You will just have to connect your mailbox. As well for Facebook Messenger, you can actually just connect your Facebook Messenger page, and you can then communicate with all of your clients, Instagram as well as WhatsApp for business. Now, basically right here, you're then going to see the statistics page of all of your conversations with your clients, and you can then see how the conversations got rated, if they actually got rated good or bad, and what the average response time is in chat, and so on. As for visitors online, if you actually set this up for your website, you can see all of your online visitors. You can also see the status as well as location and so on. Now, Brevo actually also recently enrolled a lot more CRM features, so they actually also have their own deal section. So basically right here, you can create your first deals using their CRM, which you can basically use to set up customer relationship management. So as you can see right here, first of all, if we would want to customize this deals pipeline right here, we could do that by heading over to settings, then do deals and sales pipeline, and then by configuring all of the attributes right here, as well as all of the pipeline settings right here. So for example, if you want to change this, you can just do that right here under these settings. However, I will just leave this at the default, and we could now add a new deal onto our deals pipeline. So I will just click on create a deal, and then we are going to actually add our Bruce Wayne contact onto this, and we are actually going to create a new company for Bruce Wayne. So in this case, this is just going to be Wayne Enterprises. And we're going to create this company. Now this company is also going to show up in the companies tab on the left. But let's for now just continue customizing this deal. So you can change the deal name. So let's just say that we are going to do some video editing for Wayne Enterprises. And then as for the deal stage, this is going to be new, or we could actually set this to qualifying, depending on what kind of state we are in. Now, as for the amount, let's say that Wayne Enterprise is really generous and they're going to pay me $10,000 for one video edit. And then as for the close date, we can set this to the end of the next week right here. As for a task, we can basically also tick this to create tasks to follow up on this deal. So let's for example say that as of now, we will actually have to schedule a meeting with Wayne Enterprises, and we will have to do this until this Friday. So I'm just going to click on create deal right here. And now our deal got created. We can see the overall deal process right here on the top. We can add actions right here. We can mark this deal as won as well as lost. We can add notes. We can also compose emails, create tasks, as well as import files. We can basically see the overall activity, and we can basically change the stage of our deal by using these things right here, and by then clicking on these different kind of stages and so on. Right here we are going to see the upcoming activities, but as of now I will just navigate back to the deals pipeline overview. And as you can see, this is how the deals pipeline now is going to look like, and we can drag this around, and depending on where we are going to drag this to, the state of this deal is also going to change right here. And also we can change the view to lists. However, generally I like the cards view more, and I'm actually more used to the cards view, so I will just leave this as it is. We can basically also see all of the tasks right here. So basically we set up our meeting task beforehand, which we can set as complete right here if we want to. And we can also create new tasks, and we can then set these tasks to call. We can add reminders, we can add a priority, we can add notes, and so on. So overall, this is just to streamline all of your customer relationship processes, and this is super useful in my opinion. You are also going to see all of your companies right here with all of the company's details. You can once again add notes, add new deals, add new tasks, and so on. And as for the reports right here, you are going to see the overall revenue. And for example, if we are now going to head over to this Wayne Enterprise deal, and if we are going to set this deal as 1, and if we're going to now head back to our reports right here, we can see that this automatically got updated to $10,000. We can also see the current pipeline value and so on. As for the settings, right here you are going to see once again all of the overviews, all of the settings. And as for meetings, basically this just works kind of as a replacement for all of the different kind of tools like Calendly, for example. You can just use this to schedule and meet all of your customers using either Brevo or Google Meet or Zoom. So just click on get started with Brevo Meetings right here, and then you will have to select the meeting type. You can set up your custom meeting type. So let's just say that we are going to create a demo for our video editing. And then as for the communication tool or location, let's say that we are going to do this as with a video call with Brevo. The duration is going to be 45 minutes, and now we are going to save this meeting type. Now we would just have to connect Google Calendar or Outlook Calendar to actually sync all of your meetings. I will actually skip this, and we could then just set the availability and so on, and we can then actually go for all of the meetings, and we can then actually use this link right here to let people directly create meetings with you. So let's just say that, okay, someone wants to make a meeting on the 16th of November, and then they can just select any of these times, and they can then put in their details and so on. Alright, perfect. So as for calls, basically Brevo is also going to offer you an extension which is going to allow you to directly call all of your customers and so on within the Brevo desktop app. Thank you for watching, and if you have any more questions, as always, make sure to leave them in the comments down below. And if you find this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe.